So the soap opera that is the BOI report continues. Okay, for those who don't know, in 2022, I think it was, I've already lost track, there was one of these massive 1,000-page laws that was passed. Inside of that was the text of another law that didn't pass called the Corporate Transparency Act. And in the Corporate Transparency Act, it created this whole regulatory framework of people who have entities like LLCs, for example, that are registered with secretaries of state that would then have to report information to the federal government. And this became called the Beneficial Ownership Information Report, BOI. And what the BOI report says is there's company X, here's the name of the company, here's the address and all this kind of stuff. And then you're going to list everybody who has a 25% or more beneficial ownership. So whether you're a direct owner or you're an indirect owner or an indirect beneficiary, then you would be on this list, right? And you have to upload that person's name, address, you got to upload a copy of your driver's license or whatever. So there's no fees, there's no taxes, they just want your information. Personally, this aggravates me to no end because, oh, did I lose you guys? Am I still here?
No, you're still here.
Okay, you froze. All right. So this irritates me to no end because this is just duplicate work that the government already has, right? So what in the text of the law, they say it's to combat money laundering and to combat financing of terrorism. So that's all well and good, but keep saying when something's free, you're the product. That's absolutely true. If you have an entity with a Secretary of State, then obviously that Secretary of State has that information because that's what it's from. If you upload a driver's license or a passport or something, that's from a government agency, right? Whether it's the federal government with a passport or whether it's the state agency for your getting a driver's license, the entity itself will show up somewhere on a tax return, so the IRS has information. And so the feds just want your info in one tiny little place so they don't have to go through the trouble of asking this agency or that agency. It's total nonsense. And there have been lawsuits about this, and there have been a couple lawsuits at this point. So lawsuit number one was back in March of 24, and they said, the judge in that case, it was in federal court, the judge said unconstitutional, period, full stop. And the Treasury Department, which is the agency that runs this particular program, their response was, okay, so this, and the suit was brought by a trade association of 50,000 businesses. There's 10 million small businesses in America. So 50,000, so the Treasury said, okay, we won't enforce this against this 50,000 member group. That's not really what unconstitutional means. Unconstitutional means you can't do it, just at all, period. But they said, yeah, we don't care. We're still gonna enforce this. And so lawsuit that went in November. And in this lawsuit, the judge, again in federal court, the judge said that this is likely unconstitutional and therefore is going to grant a temporary injunction, and meaning that the government was not allowed to enforce anything. So over the last 2 weeks, over Christmas break, there was a whole bunch of back and forth. And so what ended up happening was that there was an appellate court decision I think it was the day before Christmas or maybe 2 days before Christmas. And they said, okay, we're going to stay the temporary injunction. So enforcement is back on. The day after Christmas, another court said, no, can't do that. The injunction is back in force. You cannot enforce. And then on the 31st, last day of the year, the Treasury appealed to the Supreme Court for an emergency relief, saying, can you make a decision real quick so we can start enforcement? And the Supreme Court they declined to hear the emergency appeal. So the Supreme Court just said, deal with your own stuff. We're not going to take a stand right this second. And so at the moment, there is no beneficial ownership information report requirement. And in fact, if you go to FinCEN, fincen.gov, last time I looked a couple days ago, this was still in force. So if you go over here, oh, no, we don't want the news report. We want BOI. Okay. Alert, ongoing litigation. Voluntary submissions. Okay. At the moment, you can submit a report. It's voluntary. They can't enforce it. There's no penalties. There's no nothing because it doesn't exist. But if you want to give them your information, you can. So that's where we are right now. And obviously, this is an ongoing thing that has been back and forth. I've got lots of blog posts on the subject. Way back when, I made a video of actually how to fill out the form if you want to do it. It's not terribly hard. And I've seen places charging like $500 to fill this out for you. You don't need to spend $500. $100, man. Okay, I can understand that. We at Tax Sherpa, I made the strategic decision that we're not going to be doing this. So if you want to do this, you can. I recommend you talk to your lawyer about it because this is a legal thing, not a tax thing. And there was some confusion as to whether this counts as practicing law or not, and I don't want to get to it. It's not necessary. It's not required by law at the moment. So that's the update. All right. So I get a little worked up about it because it's such a ridiculous overreach. Anyway, so that's the update on BOI stuff. Not required. I'm not advising you any which way, but talk to your attorney, and the bottom line is not required for now. And if that changes, we'll let you know. All right. Sarita, what else do we have on the list? So we've been out for winter break, Christmas break, New Year's, all that kind of stuff. So I'm sure we have a lot of things that have piled up. We've only got a half hour or so left. So what do we have on the list?